Hello guys, this is 012 Boku coming at you with another movie review, and this time I'm coming at you with dun 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 dun. Well, as you get the gist of it, I'm bringing you Jurassic Park, and what no better classic adventure adventure B popcorn movie, as people like to say that movie is, could be done. And quite frankly, it is a good one to do right after King Kong. You know, not given Malcolm's line in the Jurassic Park film of what they have King Kong, but Steven Spielberg did say it did have to do with a lot of the inspiration to make this movie, is what I'm going to give you with this today. Because it really is a great movie, and I mean, you know, for it, I mean, once again, not being probably the top tier of Steven Spielberg's films, I have to say that, like the Indiana Jones trilogy, in my opinion, it really is. Because this film had a good octane of adventure, science fiction, and action that just blended all nicely, and it came together in a very good way. And this film stars quite a few good names, and you know, a lot of awesome stuff. And I have to say that the first one that starts off with is Sam Neill, and Sam Neill plays Dr. Alan Grant, who originally, you know, I believe was not the first choice for Steven Spielberg. I think it was William Hurt and or Tom Selleck, because in the book Grant is like Sam Neill, but he had a beard, he was a bit more grizzled and a bit more older. But you know, he went with he went with Sam Neill because of I guess Sam Neill's an honest actor, and he really did put a great deal behind Dr. Alan Grant. And I think it's one of his best roles, and because he makes you believe that Alan Grant really knows about a lot about paleontology, that he really enjoys this stuff, that he's a velociraptor aficionado, and when he gets to Jurassic Park, his believability that these dinosaurs exist really exudes through his acting. So I think Sam Neill did a great job with that character. And then we also have Laura Dern, who plays Ellie Sattler, who you know, did a pretty good job as Ellie Sattler too. You know, the paleobotanist who knew a lot about dinosaurs as well, sees the island and is also very odd and oohed and wowed. And when things go wrong, much like with Grant, she wants to do whatever she can to have people survive, to get through this thing, and she's very humanistic in nature, which is why Steven Spielberg chose her for the role. Now, what was different from the film to the book, because the book by Michael Crichton is very good, and this was a very, you know, pretty decent, faithful adaptation. In the book, Sattler and Grant are not in a relationship. They're just like, you know, it was like talked about, but nothing really was pursued. They were just really good friends and partners. Now, in the movie, they have a relationship, like they're dating each other. And, you know, it's sort of cool to see that Spielberg added that. It was a little bit of a nice touch, I think, you know, nice flavor to add to things. And let's see, going on from that, we have Jeff Goldblum, who is one of my favorite characters in this film, who plays Ian Malcolm, who literally is like a page right out of Michael Crichton's book. It's like if you've read the book and you've seen the movie, you know that they are pretty much top notch, and that Ian Malcolm was, you know, or no, not Ian Malcolm, that Jeff Goldblum was the right choice to play Ian Malcolm. And like Spielberg said, he was such a naturalistic actor that it just felt right for him to choose Jeff Goldblum to play the character. And it really does believe it, because Ian Malcolm, you know, when he plays Ian Malcolm, he really gives you you the idea of, you know, this is cool and all, but you know, you cloned life, You created it. You're not taking the steps to obtain it properly. You know, you're not taking the right responsibilities. If things get out, it could be disastrous. It could be terrible because life always finds a way. As the uh, term that's framed pretty much within the first two movies at least. And you know, Jeff Goldblum just did a great job. And I mean, it's really not that different from other roles that he's played because he really does end up playing like either the scientist or the nerd or the weird guy. But you know, I still think this is probably one of Jeff Goldblum's best roles, one of them. And we also have Richard Attenborough, who plays oh shoot, John Hammond. There we go, John Hammond, the guy who builds the park. And you know, he really is a nice guy and a well put together character. He really comes off as this friendly dude who wants to have this dinosaur park open to, you know, achieve greatness with kids, to give people something great to look at. He really did make this park, I don't want to say completely out of the seat of his pants, but he did it without really wondering what the conditions were, and he just wanted to do it to entertain kids around the world, to do the right things that were, you know, beside him. And it was just, you know, really cool to see. And Richard Attenborough brought so much to that character. And there is a huge difference with the character here, because where the character in the film is much more happy and open, in the book, Hammond really is a jerk, because he really, you know, in the book, he wants to do things for kids. He wants to give people something great to look at. He really wants to enjoy themselves. But once things go bad with the park and things start going downhill for him, he really starts blaming everybody. He blames his grandchildren. He blames Gennaro, Muldoon. He blames everybody but himself. And he really just is a jerk in the book. And it was sort of nice to see how Steven Spielberg made him more of a nice man instead of a guy who's just like, you know, things are going wrong, I'm gonna pout, you know, like, being a jerk. It's everybody's fault but mine. You know, so it was nice to see that done. And then there's also, let's see, oh yes, Bob Peck, who did a tremendous job as Robert Muldoon. And, you know, he really is a guy where, yes, he's hunted a lot of wild game, but he comes off knowing a lot about velociraptors, really fears them, you know, really probably did not want them put on the island because of what they could do and how, you know, stuff could change and, you know, it could harm people. I mean, because Robert Muldoon really was the most, I think, probably skeptical worker there at Jurassic Park, knowing that, you know, if things went wrong with these animals, that he would have to be one person to stop them or other things. Because, I mean, he really was sort of a nervous character, but he was realistic because he knew that things could go wrong. He knew some of these animals were vicious and could cause problems. And, you know, Bob Peck just played that very well as Muldoon. And, you know, he just came off as this awesome hunter guy you really just liked throughout the film. And, sadly, once again, to pick up on a difference from the book, again, is that, you know, in the movie, if you've seen the movie, once again, spoilers, guys, because once again, if you've seen a review, you should probably watch these unless you're curious to see how the film turns out after. In the movie, Muldoon dies, which, it sucks. He gets taken out by the raptors after knowing so much about him, and it really just sucks to see that he goes out that way. While in the book, when he's under attack from the raptors, he actually protects himself and actually survives and lives on, which I thought was awesome. Once again, this is me saying if you also want to read the book to this, I would, because seeing the film was awesome, reading the book is awesome too, and you can make your comparisons to both, which is really cool in my opinion. And then we also have Martin, yeah, I always say the name wrong. I used to say Martin Farrow, but it's Martin Ferrero. Martin Ferrero, who plays Donald Gennaro, who's another one of my favorite characters, who's a lawyer that represents John Hammond and John Hammond's investors. And the investors were very, you know, nervous about the park, as was Gennaro, and he was wondering if it was going to work and how much money they were going to lose. And, you know, Gennaro's like, if anything goes wrong, I'm going to shut it down. And Martin Ferrero did a very good job, I think, playing this role too. He really gave off the nervous, you know, timid type and things like that, and all those differences. And what was cool about that as well was, you know, Steven Spielberg changed the character up again, because when Gennaro saw the part, he's like, oh, this is going to be a moneymaker now, so I'm going to turn into a jerk and be this guy who wants to just help Hammond sell. And, you know, when everybody else is sort of against Hammond, Hammond says the one line, you know, in the film, if you've ever seen it, where he goes, you know, I don't believe it. You're meant to come down here and defend me against all these type of characters of people who don't want the park to open. And the only one I got on my side was the guy who was against me, the blood-sucking lawyer. And, you know, it was just cool to see. And, you know, Gennaro says, thank you. You know, like he is glad for the acceptance, which sort of, you know, sucked to see Gennaro like that, because once again, once I read the book, I mean, Gennaro was that nervous type, and he was very skeptical about the park, but he was like that all the way through the book, even when the park went bad. I mean, he was like that way all the way through. And once again, in the film where Gennaro dies and gets eaten by the T-Rex, in this film he survives, because he actually goes back with Dr. Dr. Harding, the guy who was checking out the Triceratops, and Ellie Sattler in the Jeep, and this other guy who wasn't in the movie, Ed Regis, who was a tour guide for the park, got eaten by the baby T-Rex, and so that's what Gennaro, I think, was supposed to represent. So once again, sucky to me that Gennaro dies in the film, but awesome that he lives in the book. But Martin Ferrero, I think, played him pretty well. And then we have B.D. Wong, who, granted, was a smaller role, because in the book, Dr. Henry Wu actually had a larger role and was in the book throughout most of the park when things went bad, and he was trying to set things right. And sadly, in the book, Wu dies, but in the film, Wu sort of sets up what they do to the animals and how they cloned them and what they did, and, you know, how they bred raptors and certain things. So he's sort of an actor who just set the paces in motion for how the animals and dinosaurs were set up on the park, which, you know, leads Malcolm into his questions about how all these things may not be able to work correctly. But, you know, B.D. Wong, you know, played it very well for a small role, I should say. Then you had Samuel L. Jackson, who plays Ray Arnold, or from the book, John Arnold, which, you know, is a very good, decent role for him to play. He's a guy, he's the main technician of the park, make sure everything's working, and he, you know, is a guy who's stressed out because things shouldn't be working should be working well, and they're not. And when the park goes bad, he actually is trying to sit through the villain, Dennis Nedry's way of how he shut down the park and how things went bad, because I'll get to Nedry in just a second, because Nedry was trying to steal stuff from the park, dinosaur embryos, and, you know, Ray Arnold just deals with that. And you know, Samuel L. Jackson plays him pretty straightforward as a character. It's funny to see because, you know, Samuel L. Jackson doesn't play too many straightforward characters. He can, though, which is what makes Samuel L. Jackson a great actor, and he played a decent job with Ray Arnold. And there's also Wayne Knight, who played Dennis Nedry, who, this was before Seinfeld, and when he plays Dennis Nedry, just like in the book, Nedry's like a slob, a big guy who, you know, fat guy who can't take care of himself, who got upset because Hammond wasn't paying him enough to help him out with his financial issues, and as a turn to that, you know, Nedry went to Lewis Dodgson, who was a rival company of InGen, and Dodgson wanted to have the dinosaurs as well to make his own park, and he asked Nedry to steal the dinosaur embryos, which Nedry does. He takes Dodgson's money and tries to steal the dinosaur embryos that he needs, and, you know, during his escape is killed by the Dilophosaurus. So that's the character Wayne Knight plays. And people say, you know, some people would say, if you haven't seen this movie, why would Wayne Knight want to play a character like that? And it's like, within the book, Nedry was somewhat of a stoic type character. He, you know, did what he needed to do, was on there, was a slob, you know, had a few jokes in and out. But in the book, Nedry's a bit of a stoic character. In the movie, like, Wayne Knight's comedy just shines. He gave so much more personality to Nedry. He made a lot more funny quips. I mean, you knew he was the villain and he was a bad guy, but he gave so much more humanistic and fun quality to the character that his comedic side really shined. Even all the way up to his death, it really shined, because his interaction with the Dilophosaurus was just great. So I like how Spielberg changed that as well. He gave Nedry much more of a personality than he did in the book. Sorry, Michael Crichton, but yeah, in the book, Nedry doesn't have that much personality. But, you know, Wayne Knight really shined through. In Promise, we are on the last two actors. And we have Joseph Mazzello, who plays one of John Hammond's grandchildren. He plays Tim, who is a dinosaur enthusiast who comes to the park, loves the park because of all he knows about dinosaurs. He tries to really get Grant to like him, even though Grant does not like being around children that much, but he really is a dinosaur enthusiast. So when things go wrong with the park, you know, because he's like one of the first casualties. You know, Tim survives and, you know, knows what dinosaurs are, and sort of really becomes a big help with that. So Joseph Mazzello played that off really well for this actor. And then we have the just give me one sec, guys. Sorry, did not mean to do that, but I've stopped this once before. We're all going through. I'm really not sure how you get this stuff back on YouTube, so sorry. As you can tell, I'm getting over a cold, but I didn't really want to slap it for lack of thereof. But we have Ariana Richards, who plays Lex, who is not as dinosaur savvy as Tim. She's sort of a girl into all the new trends, and Ariana, you know, really plays her as the screamer girl, which can get a little annoying in the film, but she's still really enjoyable, and like, she's more of a computer nerd, which actually helps come into the film near the end, because she helps reset up the park when things are shut down and they need to reset the park, and she helps them restart the park, which is very, very cool. That's a nice moment to see, and, you know, Ariana Richards plays that really well. So as you can see, very, very decent build cast. A big main cast, but, you know, decently built. I mean, all the Jurassic Park films have a pretty big cast, but I usually go, if you guys sort of want to know how I've always done it with the cast building, I usually follow the names on the back, and they have most of all the original names right there on the back. So if you guys are ever curious about how I do my casting, I usually follow the names that are on there. If there are none on there, I'll usually remember my best to remember the names and how they're done, because I've got so many movies, it's always hard to remember who's in them until I watch them and whatnot. But anyway, overall, Jurassic Park is a great, great movie. I mean, this film really was a kicker for me to get into films, for me to get into the monster film genre, science fiction, adventure, maybe not so much drama. Drama came later on, and, you know, that was thanks to certain stuff at school. But yeah, Jurassic Park really got me into science fiction, what it could do, and, you know, all those areas, and, you know, really got me into the adventure and action film area. I mean, it's just entertaining. It's very entertaining. That's what Steven Spielberg built here, was a great, entertaining piece of film. And that, I think, has gone down, you know, to be analyzed as a great, great, great picture. I mean, because I remembered it when I was a little kid, so it's just great. I mean, the CGI for Jurassic Park here is, in my opinion, when you have live action animatronics, puppets, and you have CGI for the first time being used in another way that was huge, other than Terminator 2 or Star Wars or a few other films who dabbled in some great creations. Jurassic Park really is a film that was very great for its, CGI. I mean, because when you see everything, the animatronics, the CGI, and the puppets, and the actors react to everything as well in the film, you really believe it's all there. This film makes you believe that they actually found dinosaurs and got them to act and, do a whole lot of awesome, cool things with it. So this film, to me, is groundbreaking and still holds up as well, today as it did back then in 1993. And we're talking 2015, 22, 23 year difference now. So, I mean, because, yeah, the film's 22, 23 years old. So, I mean, it still holds up well today as it did back then, which is just awesome to see. And, I mean, it's got great characters, great casting. Once again, the story is simple and straightforward, but it's great. It's entertaining. It's just well done. And then, the score by John Williams, heaven forbid. I mean, it gives you the greatest, dinosaur theme park or whatever scores of adventure in existence. I mean, the Jurassic Park theme is just as synonymous as it is with Jaws. Because, I mean, where Jaws, you have the da-da, da-da, da-da-da-da. You have with Jurassic Park the da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. You have all those great themes in this movie. And I mean, and I'm not just talking about the main theme there. I mean, the Raptors theme was really cool. The other music they use is awesome. I mean, I have all three soundtracks for all three films. I sort of go in a reverse order by the ones I like the least to the best. And the first soundtrack is the best in my opinion. But, I mean, it's just a brilliant score by John Williams. And greatly, greatly done. So, I mean, if you are looking for a good, flick to watch anytime. I mean, you can watch this movie anytime you want. But if you're looking for a movie that, is entertaining, that could do well, or, if you want to watch it around the time it came out in the summer, it's a great summer flick. It is a good thing to just watch. And, I mean, overall, this is a great, great film. Set the stages for some other dinosaur films that came out afterwards, and, great things. And, I mean, granted, I know with Jurassic World coming out, it's sort of interesting that I'm reviewing this now, but, with Jurassic World coming out, I hope Jurassic World does well. It looks a lot better than 3, in my opinion. I know a lot of people hate 2, but I actually like 2 compared to 3. I mean, I will get into that probably for next time, but, I mean, overall, Jurassic Park is a great, great film. I give this film a 10 out of 10 all the way, because it's got everything you can desire. Action, adventure, great score, pretty good acting, comedy, great, great stuff, horror elements. It's very well done. Jurassic Park is a gem for cinematic history. And, I mean, if you, say it's not, or if you think it is, and you agree with me, or you think there could have been differences in the casting or whatnot, just once again, tell me what you guys think, tell me what you think of the film, and we can go from there, because I think Jurassic Park is a beauty. But until then, my opinion, so till I come back with you for another movie review, this is 012 Boku, signing off, and sorry for the bit of delays there, and I will see you guys again, alright? Okay, bye-bye.